Hello, welcome to Good Games Well Played, episode 143. I'm Clint, aka JCM. With this week is Isley.
Yo.
And Messiah.
Hello.
And we, of course, were out for 2 weeks due to the holidays. Isley was also out the week prior. He was on vacation. And there wasn't a whole lot that happened. So this episode will kind of be like, covering what we played, if we were able to play anything, and then not much news, because, again, there wasn't a whole lot of news. It was the holidays, so there's nothing really to talk about there. But Isley, since you were gone, I know you were overseas, so you didn't really have any gaming devices with you, maybe your Switch or something. But since you've been back, and I know you got COVID, were you able to play any more Baldur's Gate 3 over the prolonged?
I did. That was the only thing I did. I did beat Baldur's Gate 3. Oh,
you beat it. Okay, nice, nice. We'll say that. I was just curious if you had not. We hadn't really talked much on Discord since you've been back, because you've been in recovery. So
I wasn't as far from beating it as I thought, but we'll talk more about that later. But yeah, that was basically it.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Yeah, well, like I said, we'll probably get to that pretty quick. I just wanted to double check so I know where to go within the conversation. But yeah, I know the one thing we can talk about, though, which did happen and happened actually yesterday, was FanFest in Tokyo, correct?
Yep, doing a little dance. Yeah. Nobody can see it, though.
Yeah, I saw you posted. I saw like pictures you shared in Discord, and I was like, she's not there though.
No,
I know. I got really confused by that too.
Right.
It's in Tokyo, and I'm like, are you in Tokyo?
Yeah, but her Instagram reels were like, here's Francis, and I'm like, okay, she's not there. So I'm like
Francis is also in Tokyo.
Oh shit!
Brought my cat. No, mm-hmm. Oh my god, I wish, because FanFest in Tokyo this year was held at Tokyo Dome. And if you don't know what Tokyo Dome is, it's basically, I think it's the largest event venue in central Japan. It's gigantic. I don't know if I'm pulling this number out of my ass or if I remember this from...
It's not a big number.
When X Japan sold out Tokyo Dome, I think it seats something like 55,000 people.
Is that the venue where they show like the like insane Japanese like queue lines that go through the parking lot and how organized they are versus like the US? Is that the one?
That, I think, I mean, probably, because I feel like that is very common, but I feel like you see that more with Comiket, the way that they do the lines and stuff to let people in there. But maybe Comiket is in Tokyo Dome? I don't remember. It's just a gigantic arena, and it's it's kind of like the Madison Square Garden, where like if an artist plays Tokyo Dome, that's kind of like the peak. And it's just wild to me because like Japanese bands that I really, really like, I mentioned X Japan, they sold out Tokyo Dome when they had their last live. I think Deer and Grey has sold out Tokyo Dome, Larkin Ciel, Luna Sea. It's just like, it's really, really crazy to me that the Primals, the video game band that plays music from Final Fantasy 14, is going to play the same venue as like X Japan did in the 90s. Yeah, it's just really, really crazy, and it's gigantic. It was so cool when they did like big sweeping shots on the stream of all of the audience with their light sticks and everything. It was just so cool. It makes me like, my heart swells for them.
Yeah, I've always thought like 360-degree arenas were weird. Like when like Dane Cook did like Madison Square Garden, it's like, okay, that makes sense. He's a comedian. He can walk around the entire stage and like face every direction. But like a band, I'm like, I guess unless they set up like a slow rotating platform so everybody can actually see the band straight on. I'm like, what about the people that are in like that back 70 degrees? Like they're not going to get like a great view of the band.
Well, sometimes it depends on who's playing there. Like with FanFest, the way it's set up, there's like the entrance stage, and then there's a big catwalk that goes out to a central stage, but there's no like seating behind.
Oh, okay. So they don't have 360-degree seating. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but
almost.
Almost, yeah. Because there is like the entrance stage part that people come out of, and most people, when they play Tokyo Dome, they just play in front of that entrance area. But some bands, actually I would say most bands, if you're going to play Tokyo Dome, you're going to go big anyway, they'll have the big catwalk to the stage out in the center, and that's where they're seating all around like the pit area, the central stage. So the band can either go out to that central stage, or they do like special performances or whatever, they walk out over the crowd and stuff like that. So there's like There's like a backstage at one side of the arena where there wouldn't be seating unless something is only going to take place in that central stage, and then there would be seating all around. But with FanFest, it's kind of like split in half. So there's like seating kind of in one half, and then the other half is all the floor event stuff. Like there's a whole section of PC set up for people to do the in-game events and all like the interaction stuff that they always have at FanFest.
Yeah. Yeah, so outside of the so I know they showed the new job Pictomancer, which when I saw the name I was like, I jokingly was like, oh, so you play Pictionary? But I'm like, yeah, I guess they really are pretty literal with their names. I mean, outside of Blue Mage, which is just you need to know that they use enemy moves as their magic, all the names are pretty much literal in Final Fantasy. So when I saw like, oh, they do paint and they use a brush and like it looks cool in the trailer, but I'm like, did they show gameplay of how it looks like actually in game?
Yeah, they showed kind of like a job introduction trailer where they show a lot of the animations. So they won't show the actual like job animations in-depth trailer until the next live letter. I think when it gets closer to Dawn Trail, they'll kind of show more in-depth. But they did do like a little introduction where it shows off the artifact armor. It shows off kind of the basic, their big skills and stuff like that, and just kind of the aesthetic of the job.
Yeah. Apex Legends kind of does it where when they have a new legend, like they'll show the legend trailer, which is like the cinematic to give you backstory of the character. Then they show like the season trailer, which has snippets of cinematic gameplay, and people can speculate like, oh, it looks like their tactical is this and their passive is this and their ultimate is this. Then they have the full character breakdown right before the new season launches. They have like this tiered system, very very similar to how other stuff do it and how FF is doing it. So that's interesting. Yeah, so it's a ranged DPS.
So it's a ranged magic DPS, and they didn't go into too much detail, of course, because they'll break it down more later, but it's basically going to be like, it's going to be a damage class, because everything kind of has to be a damage class, but it's also going to have support abilities. So you'll be able to buff your party and stuff like that with it. So the way that they kind of put emphasis on that makes me really excited that it's going to be like sort of a hybrid support class like Red Mage is supposed to be, but yeah, it just looks really fun. I'm really excited. It's literally just when they showed the actual like job artifact, I was like, oh, that's just Realm. That's just Realm from Final Fantasy VI. They took her armor and they put it in the game, and that's what this job is.
Nice. They're like, yo, the brush is mightier than the sword, motherfuckers. Painted. But so did they? What else did they talk about? Was there anything new from the showcase that they showed? Like, as far as, did you learn any more information about the expansion?
Oh god, yeah, there was a lot. The two biggest things that they revealed were Pictomancer, of course. They had already said that there was going to be another job, and it was going to be a magic job. So they revealed that, and then I think the most, I don't want to say surprising thing, but the most interesting thing they released is they're going to add female Hrothgar as a new playable race, and it actually looks very good the way that people wanted it. People were worried because it's a big buff like cat race and it looks more cat-like than Mikote. People were worried that the female version was going to look too much like Mikote, but they're actually very tall and strong and actual lion looking, and it's very very cool. So they introduced that. I took notes. Let me look at my notes.
In my head, I'm imagining that lion from, I remember Invincible, that one lion that just totally beats down Invincible in that one episode, who works that Kingpin Isley. That's what I'm picturing in my head, is like, they look like that.
Battle Beast?
That's name Battle Beast? Yeah.
And kinda. They're just like big. They're based off of lions instead of like, cat girls or whatever. So they actually look like lionesses. They're kind of big and stocky and buff looking. It's just very cool. I'm very excited that they actually listened to the community about how they didn't just want another Mikote type of class.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. And they showed like so there's a female Hrothgar character in the big like CGI trailer, but they also showed in-game footage of the new playable race. So that was really nice to be able to see like how it's going to look in the game, and with all like the graphical updates and everything like that. It's very fun. They also showed like a few new areas because it's obviously this is the last fan fest and this is the last time they're really gonna like show new stuff for Dawn Trail till it comes out. So they were showing new areas and stuff, and it all looks very cool. It's very tropical, very like tribal, very like South American inspired. And then they were like, oh, well, we have a new area to show you, but we don't really know how to explain it. So we're just going to show you. And it's just straight up like cyberpunk Tokyo, like some kind of Honkai Star Rail isekai, like cyberpunk isekai. And I was just like, I don't even know what to do. This is like the same kind of vibe whiplash as like the latter half of Tunic. It's exactly the same. This doesn't fit with what is in the world. What the fuck is happening? So in line with that, they introduced the new like 8-man raid series, which is going to have the different tiers throughout the patches, and it's literally just looks like a giant GPU. Like it's purple and blue and it's got fans all over the side of it. I don't know what the fuck is happening. So it's going to be a lot more interesting than Cozy Summer Vacation that they originally posited this expansion to be.
Solution 9, what a name. Like it's so like very Ice 9. It's like it I'm looking at it right now. It's like, okay. Looks like it's capsule hotels.
But wild, right? And the fact that it's called Solution 9 is like a hint as to like why it exists and maybe who made it, and just very weird. Then the other area they introduced is called Heritage Found. Like what the fuck is happening? I think I put in my notes. I was like, I don't even know what's happening anymore. This is just weird. But I'm hoping that the way that it introduced is very interesting and maybe towards the latter half of the expansion, because I think it would kind of take away from the tonal whiplash if it's like halfway through the expansion and then you're just going back and forth between like Brazil and Cyberpunk 2077. So
it must be underground, right?
I don't know if it's underground. It seems like it.
Like a sky. Yeah. It looks like it.
The Heritage Found screenshot that they showed was like in the foreground, it was very like kind of like Old West looking with a steam engine train, and in the background you can kind of see like a tower going up or like a dome maybe. I don't know, it was very weird. When they started to show off the new areas, they kind of revealed more of the world map, saying that the new continent we're going to, Tural, is actually split into like a north and south continent, I guess. So when they revealed the northern part of it, there was a weird little thing on the map that looked like a strange orb or dome. So I'm thinking maybe that's what it is. Like we're eventually going to go north and this like strange glowing dome is just going to be like ominously in the background for a while. It's very, very odd, and like I don't know, it just kind of really piqued my curiosity even more, especially because this is the first major story that we're going to be doing after Endwalker, after this like 10-year epic of a storyline, and it's all going to be kind of mostly totally original to Final Fantasy 14 and all this stuff. So I'm actually way more excited than I was initially to kind of get into it.
Man, when I see like I'm just scrubbing through the trailer, there's that bit where like the flying whatever it is goes through and like the sun changes and you go across the bridge and you see like it looks like, you know, this Grand Canyon type area, and then it turns around back to the like the waterfalls, everything, the city, and I'm like, if this was like an actual open world, I was like, man, I want to run around this, not just like
I know. I want to be able to. I know that bridge is just going to be like a zone, like a loading zone, but I really want to be able to fly over the canyon, like fly over the bridge and stuff, or walk along the bridge. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's something that will be along the bridge that we'll be able to go in and do and something. And maybe there's parts of the bridge that they didn't show, or there's maybe a little encampment settled up and stuff like that. But
yeah. Pictomancer seems like the kind of job that if this game was still on PS3, it would people would just turn off the effects. Like, because that's what you had to do to get that game to run well. Just turn off all battle effects.
I mean, people probably will anyway. I imagine the actual effects on the character, like the brushstrokes and stuff, you can't turn off, but the pictures that draw above them. Alliance Raid, the first week of Dawn Trail launch, is going to be completely unplayable.
So do they, in the trailer, like the dude like draws a picture like and it turns into a creature. So are they drawing things that come to life that attack, or is it actual magic?
So in the trailer, the character that is the Pictomancer is Kryl, and that was kind of the big reveal for Kryl. She's been sort of a background character for a while, but I guess she's now going to be part of the trust system, and she's going to be able to go on the adventure and battle and stuff like that. But when they showed the actual job introduction trailer, there was only one instance where they used a skill to summon a little creature that did an attack. So I don't know if that's going to be maybe like their big level 90, level 100 skill where they like summon something and then it attacks. But most of the skills they showed, it was just kind of like a little picture, or it was just basic. I'm guessing what is the basic attack where they just swish little brush around and throw paint at the monster.
Yeah. They get all
such a cute attack.
They're like, paint in your eyes. You can't see now. You're blind.
To be fair, that would be very effective.
Yep.
The thing that sold me was the last skill that they show. They summon a little Moogle, and it does this crazy like forward death shoop de whoop beam. I was like, I'm sold. I'm maining Pictomancer now.
Give me my
beam. Give me my death Moogle.
Yeah.
Very, very
That's
good.
funny.
Very, very cute. I'm really excited. My bunny's gonna look so cute in that AF.
Yeah, and when does that come out again? I know we talked about it before.
They don't have an exact date,
but
they keep saying summer 2024, and they keep emphasizing that it's going to be summer 2024. So I'm guessing anywhere between June and August.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there.
Okay, so not too far out, but this year at some point. A lot of stuff coming out this year.
It's gonna be so good. I'm thinking I might take that week off work. I have a lot of time off.
You gotta worry about those queue times.
Yeah, Endwalker was really bad. Endwalker, I remember during Endwalker, Michael would log me on at about 3 o'clock, and then when I got home at 5 o'clock, I would maybe be in the game.
I remember you getting mad at him one day because he didn't log you on.
Well, no, he logged me on, and then he didn't wiggle my camera, and so it kicked me out of the game when I got home.
It booted you for being idle.
He was like, I'm so sorry. I got home. He was playing, and I was just like on the character screen. I went, that's okay. I'll go do something else.
That's okay. I'll just suffer.
So I'm hoping maybe as it gets closer to release, once they announce a release date, because of course people are going to plan to take time off for it and everything. So I'm hoping that maybe in the next live letter, they'll address that issue and maybe what they've been doing. They are doing a 24-hour maintenance in a couple weeks for the patch where they're updating a lot of their like physical server infrastructure. So maybe that's kind of the precursor to them getting ready for that. But I don't know. I'm really debating because I want to take the time off to do it, but there's no point if I'm not even going to be able to log on until 5:30 anyway.
Yeah. You got to get like a brass tumbler to put your mouse in, so it's just constantly knocking it around. You're like, oh no, don't beat up my mouse though. But at least I'm logged in. I'm not idle.
I just need to Steam Link enough to get logged in, and like even though it's laggy, I can at least wiggle the mouse around, and then I should be good and for the drive home.
Yeah,
it's so bad.
That'll be exciting. You could be able to talk about that like for weeks.
Yeah,
on end, probably months, depending.
What I'm going to be doing constantly.
Yeah, that'll be good. We'll have a nice big FF talk over the summer.
And there's going to be more today. I think there's a live letter today. I need to look at the schedule. It starts at 5 o'clock our time. but I don't know if I'm gonna watch a whole lot of it. Maybe if there is a live letter, I'll watch that because it's gonna be about stuff that's gonna be in the next patch in a couple weeks. But the biggest thing I'm looking forward to is they're actually streaming the Primals concert, and it is in Tokyo Dome, so I cannot miss it. But it starts at 1:30 in the morning here and is scheduled to go to 3. So I'm probably gonna nap for most of the day.
Nice. Like, I'm just gonna go back to sleep. And I'll get
My
up for it
week
later.
is officially ruined. Like I still have to get up and go to work on Monday.
No good.
Rip.
All right. So we'll go ahead and jump over to Isley. So you, since you haven't been on for so long, I know you said you finished Baldur's Gate. Did you play, before we jump into that, did you play anything else over the break since the last time you were on the podcast?
I played Super Mario RPG while I was traveling, which
Oh, the new one?
that's just, yeah, the remake. The remake of Seven Stars.
Mhm.
So I played that, and I've really loved that. But I don't know what to say about it aside from it's just a remake of the old game that's done very well. If you've never played it, definitely play it because it's a phenomenal game, and it's just a really high quality remake. But then I got back from traveling and had COVID for like 2 weeks, which was great because the only symptoms I had were a deathly cough, runny nose, and massive headaches. So I couldn't play anything. I just sat there.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, no,
Oh
it
no.
was annoying. But I did finally finish Baldur's Gate in between, I wasn't as far off as I thought I was. I don't know how much. I guess it's probably safe spoiler territory.
Yeah, spoilers for Baldur's Gate 3. I'll put it in the timestamps.
Mhm.
So all I really had to do left from side quests, which I didn't realize, is I had to uh, I had to deal with Asterian's quest line, which I hadn't finished, so I had to go to um, Cazador's place and deal with all the vampires.
Real
Um,
quick, before you keep going. So, how long was that gap between finishing the game and the last time you played? Like, was it a pretty significant gap?
yes.
So, did you find it difficult, not necessarily to get back into it in gameplay perspective, but like to remember, like, hey, where was I? Where are these characters? Like, even though
Oh
I'm in
God,
party as
yeah, it
far
was
as
horrible.
okay, all right.
Are you trying to figure
Did
this out for yourself going back?
no, because I won't have the issue. I just was curious. Like, did you go in like because obviously the quest logs are really good at like saying like, oh, Astarion wants to do this. Okay, we talked to Raphael. He said this. Astarion now wants to do this. So like they give you at least a nice little quick synopsis of the story
I
of the personal quest for each character. So did you reference those at all?
I didn't struggle with story so much because I had left off at a spot where um, I can't remember whose quest I just finished, but I finished some person's side quest. Like, I think it was maybe Shadowheart's side quest. I'd finished that in Act 3, and where the main quest left off was kind of unclear to me. I didn't really remember where the main quest left off, but the side quests, they were wrapped up, and I hadn't started new ones because I was kind of going character by character. I wasn't doing them all at once. Um, so the stories jumping back in weren't bad for side quests. For the main quest, I could not remember what I was doing. Like I remember the overall main quest of you're trying to
Right.
stop the Nether Brain, um, and you're trying to stop that by whatever means. But because the storyline of the Brain ties into some people's side quests, I couldn't remember like which branching paths I was going down for it, and I couldn't remember like kind of what I was trying to do, which resulted in a weird ending that pissed people off. Um, so that wasn't bad, but the thing I struggled with most was like just remembering how to control things and what the hell I was doing. I needed like a tutorial again for the console controls and dividing up characters and all of that. And while I was gone, apparently they patched a lot of just a lot of shit. So uh, my builds didn't work anymore. So I got back and I'm like, why
Hmm.
is my build being so weird now? And specifically, like what I learned was I had Karlach as a throwing barbarian,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess that the throwing barbarian build was working off of a glitch, so it was doing way more damage than it was supposed to be doing. So I got back and Karlach in her current build didn't suck, but was shockingly average, and that threw off a lot of like gameplay
No
loops I
pun
was
intended.
used to.
Yeah.
So I had to get back into that. I couldn't remember what some of the icons were, so I accidentally exploded Gale because I guess
Uh oh.
somehow
No.
I had to reload. So
Game over.
I remember when Gale first gets the ability to like self detonate, it puts it on the wheel
Mm-hmm.
for you. And I removed it from the wheel because I'm like, all right, obviously I'm not going to self detonate unless it's like a meme thing. And I guess somewhere in the updates it exchanged out one of my abilities, and like muscle memory, I went to it and hit it. So I self detonated Gale, and I was like, well, that wasn't what I meant to do. Reload. Um,
That's funny.
but yeah, it was kind of a struggle getting back into things and also remembering where vendors and areas were in Act 3. But it was also a struggle just because Act 3 was kind of like a buggy mess, and now it's pretty cleaned up. So I didn't have a good sense of familiarity with Act 3 yet before I left. So coming back, it was kind of like a new act all over again.
Yeah, I guess that'd be tough. That's why you got to plug in your headset and record a little video. Like, okay, this is what I'm doing. This is where I'm going. This is where I've been.
Yeah.
Then you can give yourself a little reminder. You're gonna 51st dates yourself and be like, you're just Drew Barrymore putting in that VHS tape. Like, hey, it's me, Isley. You were doing this. So, what did you do when you finished Asterian's? Did you ascend or not ascend?
He ascended, which I didn't like.
Oh.
I actually tried to convince him not to ascend.
Oh, I guess you weren't friends enough.
Yeah, so I tried to convince him not to ascend and not to do any of that, and he pretty much was like, "Ha, fuck you, I'm doing it anyways." Um, there were a lot of parts of Asterian's quest that I don't think I got, that I looked up afterwards. Well, I know I didn't get, that I had to look up afterwards to explain. So, um, Asterian has a bunch of scars on his back that
Mm-hmm.
are meant to like explain part of his quest line and stuff, but that never came up as a topic for me in the entire game.
Well, yeah, I guess if you never have him in your party, because you can see him early on with the well, didn't you talk to have him, or did you not have him talk to Raphael in Act 2 when you go to the Gauntlet of Shar?
So when I went to the Gauntlet of Shar with Raphael, or where Raphael was like just crouched down outside the Gauntlet of Shar, and I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have Asterion in my party. So
Oh, so you didn't reload it to get him in your party?
I didn't know I was supposed to.
Oh, well, oh,
I
so
didn't know
he
that was an interaction.
didn't. Oh, so did you when you found Asterion at the Last Light Inn, or not Asterion? When you found Raphael at the Last Light Inn, did you ever go back to your camp and have? Because Asterion will want to talk to you when you go back to camp after that. At any point after that, after you run into Raphael, did you do that?
I mean, I went back to camp, but there was never a conversation where like Asterion was like, "Hey, I want to talk to Raphael."
Oh yeah. See, for me, when I because he wasn't in my party in my first run, so when I talked to Raphael there later on, I went like back to camp to rest, and one of the exclamation points was above Asterion. He's like, "Hey, can you? I really want to talk to Raphael. Can I next time you run into him?" So then when I ran into him outside of the Gauntlet of Shar, uh, not knowing he was there, I reloaded it to bring in Asterion to see like what he wanted, and he talks about it there to Raphael.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
Oh, that
So
sucks.
Asterion basically, I guess what's supposed to happen is that Raphael teases Asterion and like snaps his fingers and makes him naked, and that's how it brings up like the scars at some point.
That's interesting. Yeah, because typically if you romance him, you can see him early on.
Yeah.
And then I found out about him when he talks to Raphael outside Gauntlet of Shark because he asked him, he goes, "Hey, what's the stuff mean?" And he tells him it's like a infernal language and whatnot, and it's part of a ritual. He doesn't snap his fingers to make him naked in that scene, so I wonder if
Well,
that's maybe something they
that
changed.
that must be it. Well, that could be a different scene, I guess. But like, I think I missed apparently a few triggers for Asterion. So in short, I didn't really understand what was going on. I knew that like Cazador tortured him and stuff, and basically the way the quest line went, super summarizing, is that Asterion got there after Cazador being torturous and mean to him and everything, and Asterion was pretty much just like, "He tortured me. I just want to do this for power to get back or protect people." And then I was like, okay, bro. Well, I tried to
Yeah.
convince him not to, but then he's like, "I'm doing it," and he ascended, which I kind of figured that was the bad ending for him because he turns into a huge dick and is basically just Cazador then after he ascends.
Yeah, I want to have him ascend on my Dirge playthrough, but man, the scene, if you convince him not to, that scene is just, it's like why, one of the big reasons I think why Neil wins the performance awards, because it's so good. Like, I mean, overall, even the story in general, if you have him in your party, he's a really fun character, but like that scene is just, there's so many good scenes like his and Karlach's just destroy in Act 3. Karlach's scene especially, it's like, fuck it, dude. Sam's performance is just, whew, it's like, god damn, so powerful. Like, fuck. I'm not looking forward to seeing it again because I know I'm just gonna get devastated. But okay, so anyways, go ahead, keep talking.
Yeah, so that was what happened with Asterion. Shadowheart, I'd already finished her quest line prior to leaving. Karlach's quest line, I mean, I guess that was kind of the House of Hope, which I'd already done before leaving as well. But she didn't
hers is tied to really, it's time to kill Gortash.
Yeah, Gortash and House of Hope, but I guess I finished House of Hope and the Raphael portion and all of that, and I also I didn't kill Gortash. He was still left to kill afterwards. I put him off because I couldn't go into Worms Crossing without it lagging the fuck out. But she, didn't really have a storyline end aside from being screwed. Well, I guess that is the ending. So her ending was that she got screwed and had to go back to hell. But then they added the epilogue. So the epilogue, which it's my understanding the epilogue wasn't in the original game.
Yeah,
and that got patched in while
don't talk anything about the epilogue because that wasn't part of my original. So my ending is just everything happens at the dock in the post battle scene. So I don't want to see anything about the epilogue until I get through my Dirge playthrough.
So Karlach's ending then was she goes back to hell, and this is kind of jumping ahead, but then you get the option of like whether you want to go with her, whether you can like send Will with her, and I was basically like, let's all go down to hell. So that was kind of the end of her storyline. Lae'zel, I will admit I reloaded this, so in my first bout at the ending, I didn't free Orpheus because he kind of seemed similarly bad to me. He didn't seem as bad as the Emperor, but it seemed kind of like you were just trading like one big bad for another big bad. Sorry, not as the Emperor. So I didn't release Orpheus, and then Lae'zel got really pissed off at me that I didn't release Orpheus, and she left the party. So I reloaded just because I wanted to see how her actual ending story played out. I guess I could reload back again to see if it's interesting without Lae'zel, but yeah, so that ties into like how I beat the game, which was I freed Orpheus, and he tried convincing, or basically was like, well, one of you has to turn into you have to not ascend. I can't remember what the term was. You have to transform into a mind flayer. And I was like, fuck no, bro, I'm not doing that. And then you can convince him to turn into the mind flayer instead. So he turns into the mind flayer, killed another Netherblade and all that, and that was pretty much how I wrapped up the game.
Okay. Yeah, I freed him because I'm like, okay, because I wanted to get I knew that obviously the storyline with the Githyanki, I'm like, okay, well, he should be freed, so that way we can help that entire race kind of fix that oppressive rule that they're under with the queen. And then but when it came down to the who should transform, since I had Karlach in my party, she's like, hey, yo, it should be me since I'm gonna die anyways. And then so I had Karlach change, and then because of that the infernal engine goes away, so she's allowed to she doesn't have to go back to hell.
Yeah, but then she mind flayers.
Yeah, but she's like totally happy about it. Like it was still a good ending for me. It was a great ending for her. Like she was still happy. She was like glad now she could just live her life. The Netherbrain's gone, everything. She used to go, and it's not Orpheus lets her live. Like he's fine with it because he knows that like she's not under control, influenced by the brain. So she's just like, she was just really happy. I'm not sure how that would play out in the epilogue. Now I'm curious if I did the same thing. So I'm wondering if I have a I don't know if I have a save, because I thought about loading up like a save game right at the end because I know I have one, and just like lower the difficulty, quickly beat it, and see what happens. But I'm like, I also felt like nah, because that kind of like cheapened. I liked the way my first run ended. I didn't feel like the ending was like, would I have liked to see more? Sure, but I liked how everything ended because I got like really good endings. Like I love the non. I've talked about this previously in the podcast, but like the non-ascended Asterian ending is so good because you're all standing there on the dock, and it's like, you know, it's still sunny out, and then like you feel like the tadpoles are gone, and everything, and Asterian's talking, and then all of a sudden he starts to sizzle because he's in the sun. He's like, oh shit, I gotta go, and he like runs off, and then I'm like, oh, I guess he won't be at the party later. And then it was like, it's just like I felt so bad. It's like, oh, poor Asterian, he has to go hide in the dark now. He's gonna be at nighttime, or maybe he'll go to the Underdark with all the other vampires because I freed him. But
Yeah, the only problem I had with the ending is not one with the game, but rather like when I was playing it, I felt like shit. So
yeah, that's
I
rough.
will freely admit that like when I was wrapping up Will, I didn't have Will in my party most of the game. And I tried bringing him into the party for like storyline beats in like Act 1 and Act 2, but in Act 3 I was just kind of like I need to beat this game. I intend to play it through fresh, doing the honor mode to get the trophy and just playing honor mode. But Will's like the way Will's story wrapped up, I'm like, what even was your point in all of this game? And I had to look it up, and I'm like, wow, I missed so much of your story by just either not paying attention and zoning out, or just like actively skipping it.
Yeah, Will's story reminds me a lot of my issues with Final Fantasy 16, where like so many of the good side quests, like they end at the very end of the game before you'd fight the big bad. So it's like he's got a really good story, but you don't know that because he can't talk about it due to his contract with Minthara.
Yeah.
So it's like, or Mizora, sorry. So it's like it sucks. And then when you finally find out about it, it's like, man, this is really good. Like this guy sacrificed so much to protect the city, and then like his dad casts him out and everything. It's like, oh, this is such a good story. But like that, I think that's why I think Will is one of the. He's a good character, but of the group, he's a weaker one because you don't get, if the mystery doesn't entice you and him being a warlock in your party, you don't find out about a lot of that stuff until Act 3, which is rough. I'm like, man, because he is a great character, but you don't find out until so later in the game. But yeah, I love that. His story is just real good. And so, did you fight the skeleton dragon under Baldur's Gate?
I did fight the dragon underneath, and that was a super cool fight. Really enjoyed it.
Okay, because it's he can go down there. He wants to, or at least he's interested in going down there. So, did you save his father from the?
He's interested in going down there because it's basically like after the coronation, Mizora's like, oh, blah 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 blah. You have to do this. Yeah. And he's like, well, we can awaken. What's his name? Answer, something like that. The dragon.
Some. Answer,
something like that. And he's like, oh, they'll help, blah blah blah. So you go down there, fight the dragon. So that was cool. And I did save his dad, which that whole sequence was a journey. We'll just say a journey.
A really challenging sequence to save as many people of the Iron Gnomes and his dad, and getting out of there on time. It's like
so. The problem I had with it, and I haven't decided if I think that this area didn't have enough like clues or not yet, and I will admit that I reloaded this, is if you go down there first and then you leave and then you go back, it screws up the quest. So you have to go down there and stay down there.
Yeah,
however,
you can't leave.
Yeah. If there are clues down there as to like how to beat it and stuff, but you have to like stealth around. So there aren't really hints that you should stealth around. And what was it called? Iron Throne?
Iron Forge.
No, it's not Iron
Forge.
It
is Iron Throne, sorry.
Iron Throne.
Well, the timer starts like as soon like Gortash is like, it's going to blow up anyway. So even stealthy, it's all about movement. You just got to swift foot it and just run.
But the thing that I did like is I thought it was hilarious that Mizora's down there trying to fuck you over because she doesn't want you to sidestep the contract. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, that fight was. I tried saving everyone a few times, and at one point I just got fed up, and I was just like, you guys are killing yourselves. I'm just going for the Mind Flayer dude and the Duke and calling it a day.
Oh, really? Yeah, I had so many speed potions, and I just gave everybody, quick movement, and then they just would and haste and stuff. So it would be like they just run. I ran past all the fish guys, freed
They
I think I almost got all of the gnomes, maybe just a couple. But I had enough for that threshold that the iron gnomes were happy.
they just kept killing themselves. So I was like, I can't do anything if you keep killing yourself. Stop fucking killing yourself.
Yeah, I guess that. Yeah, if you don't, I guess because there are some you have to CC in certain spots, or at least make sure you get the aggro.
Well, not the enemies. I meant like the allies that are escaping would kill themselves, and I just
Are you
got.
talking about in the Iron Throne or in the factory? 'Cause in the
Oh no,
factory, they
sorry,
kill
that was
themselves
the
all the time.
factory where they kill themselves. Iron Throne was sorry. That was. It's been 3 weeks. I of course don't remember anything. No, Iron Throne they didn't kill themselves, but Iron Throne was still really fucking annoying.
Yeah, in the factory, they're all about like they run into the fucking
Yeah.
Watchers, and I'm like, could you just stop it, man? So I just gave up because they don't matter, but the ones in the Iron Throne they matter. So it's like okay.
Well, they matter, but they don't because I couldn't discern any like outcome change for saving everyone. Like it doesn't seem like you get anything if you save everyone.
You can if you save everyone. Well, you lost. So how did your gnome situation work out between the Iron Gnomes and the other guys? Because you
My
didn't have
gnome,
what's his name?
yeah, I was gonna say my gnome situation I think was screwed up from Act 2 with the whole no,
Yeah,
that was Act 1 with the whole Grimforge thing that I think I told you about that like
yeah.
there was a bug on console that if you didn't talk to
Hmm.
Barkus with someone other than your Tav,
He doesn't
uh
show up in Act
yeah,
Two.
he doesn't show up and the quest doesn't move forward. So my gnomes did not give a shit about me for like the game.
Yeah, yeah. See, so if you do have him, there's like a struggle between him and the other gnomes, and he's like, they obviously want you to kill all the gnomes for building the Watchers, but you save them because you realize they're just being enslaved. Um, and if
Yeah,
you save enough of them, it helps you to help what's his name, Barkus or whatever, to become the new leader of the of the Iron Forge or
oh really?
the one known. So he becomes the new leader, and the two groups come together. They're not at odds anymore. But you have to save enough of the.
So
One, you have to be friends with him and have saved him, but you also have to save enough of the guys from the Iron Throne.
for me there was no other group of gnomes and basically I got none of that from the story. I can't remember his name, but the counterpoint to Barkus that's the really like blunt one that's kind of mean and uses
Kill
Barkus.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Um he basically just brushes me off and doesn't tell me what's going on. Like he just keeps me in the dark as to what's actually happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
So
then,
I
yeah.
got none of that there were even warring factions because I guess since Barkus didn't show up, that quest line was just closed off to me. So when I saved them, like there wasn't even a good gnome bad gnome thing. It was there were gnomes that were trying to escape, and there were gnomes that were maybe doing something behind the scenes, but you never really find out what they're doing because you're not really like trusted enough for them to tell you anything.
Yeah, because they tell you like the blunt guy's like you should take the powder keg and go blow up that factory, and then because those guys they're building them for them, and they're they hate us and yada yada and this and that, and then you get there like, well no, they're slaves, and they're like, please you have to help, and then you help them and yada yada. But it was funny because for me, like I made Barkus like become the new leader, like he finally gets a spine, and then but the game glitched to where both of those characters were standing in the same spot as if I had sided with both of them, even though I sided with Barkus. But I could talk to both of them, and I had the conversation as if each of them came out the leader. And so then I got really concerned. I was like, oh wait a minute. So who's going to help me? Because I know they're going to help me in the end game. Who's going to show up? And like, luckily it was Barkus and not the other guy. But it was just really funny because they're both standing in the exact same position. I talked to each of them. I was like, all right. So it was a funny little glitch. But yeah, that sucks. Yeah, I guess so. You don't get any of that storyline there.
Which is like I'm pretty fine with that because I will actually probably play this again and didn't really expect that I would play the game again so soon, but it's changed so much that I kind of have a big interest in going through another time.
Oh yeah, and you go, like when I was doing my dirge straight, like you go through it so quick because you know where everything is, and then you like, so because you know what to expect, like it just shaves off so much time. Like even when I found stuff I didn't find in my first playthrough, like it's still just you go through it so much quicker, because then you have all that knowledge of either where your builds are going to go or what to do. So it's like it just the second playthrough is feels like such a breeze because you know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I was trying. So what did you? So how did your? Again, still spoilers for Baldur's Gate, but how did your ending go? What did you do? Just destroy the brain?
Oh yeah, I just destroyed the brain.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm really curious. Because obviously they have the Gale's like, oh, I could blow myself up. And I'm like, no, dog, don't do that. We're gonna kill the brain. And then obviously there's like, and you can give the crown to, he can take the crown or give the crown to.
I really want to reload and do the ending where you, I only know this because the trophy exists, but like where you harness the crown and you side with Gortash, and you guys, I guess, I'm probably getting details of this wrong because I only know about it from the trophy description, but you take control of the brain with Gortash. I want to do that ending, and I might on a Dirge playthrough just to see what it's like, because that kind of sounds like a cool one.
Yeah,
and Gortash is obviously evil, but like that would be a really fun evil ending, I think, siding with Gortash. Yeah,
there's also some stuff I know that happens on a Dirge run that I'm really curious about.
Yeah, I mean, I assume that, well, God, Orin is the person who I know what is the Dirge when you play a normal run? I can't remember what she is. She's something to Ball on the normal run, so I assume she is the Dark Urge, or she's the one that like killed the Dark Urge or something. But I guess that would make a Ball spawn, whatever, side with Orin ending probably like canon for Dirge, or like a really good Dirge ending.
Oh, there's some other things I didn't want to mention because they'd be spoilery. But
yeah, no, that's fine. You don't need to spoil. But
yeah, I look forward to going in and seeing the epilogue. There's some interesting stuff if you are a Karlach origin character and you romance Ascended Astarion. There's some interesting endings there. There's someone I follow on Twitter, an artist, and like they're like just all about Karlach and Astarion together, and like they have tons of art they do. But they were posting a lot about like how like, oh, it's interesting, like if you're Astarion and you ascend and you romance Karlach, you don't get that special, the unique ending with them. But if you're Karlach with Ascended Astarion, then you do. And like, and then the extra epilogue stuff, there's some things which are really interesting. So I'm curious how many other unique things there are if you are the origin character in your playthrough versus just being a Tav, which is like, so Zai, I know Michael and his friends are playing. I'm like, man, that's got to be like such a different experience for them because they're not getting any interactions with, because it's 4 people, right?
They're all playing original characters.
Yeah, they're not getting any of that dialogue with the other characters. I guess.
It's okay. They've totally bungled their playthrough anyway. Literally every NPC in the game is probably dead at this point. So I don't think that's...
they're playing Baldur's Gate a different way.
They're playing D&D is what they're playing. They're not playing Baldur's Gate. They're just going about their own little merry way. And but Michael did start a playthrough on his own, and he has Shadowheart, Karlach, and Astarion in his party right now, I think, because he realized that he missed the literal first half of the game because he didn't know that the host was in cutscenes and that he could join the cutscenes. So he missed all of the story. So he had no idea what was going on. So he went back and played on his own, and I don't know. I don't think he's going for any specific like type of playthrough. I think he's just trying to save as many people as he can to see the things that they missed in their group playthrough. But they're literally just playing D&D. They have probably ruined most of that game at this point. Which
that's gotta be so weird.
It leads to a lot of really good... I wanted to watch them play, but once I kind of started hearing what was going on, I think it would be the most frustrating experience to watch at everything I've ever heard. So it's much more fun to just overhear one side of all the conversations of what's going on and just being like, I don't think you're playing that right. And yeah, it's very fun.
Yeah, it has to be like two completely different games when you're playing with a full group.
Mm-hmm.
Even probably just a first playthrough with just one other person has to be completely different. Like, yeah, sure, you can still have other people in your party and romance them, have conversation and whatnot, but it's got to be like 4 people versus just yourself. It's just two different games. It's got to be, because, yeah, man, that's so strange.
And apparently there's a system so that if everybody's watching the cutscene and there's dialogue choices, the
Yeah.
host is the one that chooses the dialogue, but everybody can vote on
Mhm.
what they want. So
That's kind of fun.
yeah,
Yep.
everybody kind of votes on what they want to say. And he said so far it's either been everybody votes for a different option and the host just picks whatever he wants without any consideration to anybody else, or everybody else chooses the bad, horrible, mean, kill everybody option, and then the host is in a dilemma of like, okay, do I finish this quest or do I do it for the meme? So
Yeah.
that seems like there's only actually 2 options of what to do in cutscenes.
Yeah. That's funny. This gotta be a good time. Like, just overhearing random shit.
It's been very, very interesting. I've been noting down some of my favorites. One of my notes says you might want to quick save, and in parentheses frequent. So
Yeah.
I hear that a lot. Another good one I heard, not last night, but I think the night before, was you aggroed all the carnies. I don't
That'll
know.
happen. Wow, they're far.
They're really far in the game. Like I said, they're not exploring a whole lot, I don't think. And they do tend to, like, from the very get-go, they tend to just split up and do their own thing. And I was like, isn't that rule number 1 of like D&D type things, is you don't split up the party? And he just threw his hands up in aggravation and was like, you tell them that. I don't know what to say. So
that's so funny. Oh, good times.
well, it's very good. But he's really, really enjoying it, even though they have totally bungled their playthrough. I mean, so much that he started his own playthrough to actually experience some of the story. And he said that he came to me one day and was like, I found an arachnophobia mod for Baldur's Gate 3. If I give you this and buy the game, will you play it with me? So we're gonna.
I assume it just changes the spiders to something else.
He said that it replaces all the spiders in the games with dogs. Which,
oh god,
I was like, I don't know about that. Can we change it to something like bad? I don't want to kill dogs. And he was like, this is the best I could do. I'm so sorry.
I'm just imagining the really obvious one and it being really funny.
If you two play together, I mean, there's really not that many spiders. So
that's
like
what
he
was
could
saying.
he could easily, like, there's a couple in Act 1 in like specific sections, and like, so it's like he could just take the other 3 NPCs and go do the fight, and then like, or even like if you're both playing, he could be like, probably just, like, hey, can I, just, you guys are right next to each other, right? So you can just dual box it and just go in real quick and take care of it, or just you log out and he just has control of the character, or he hires a hireling or whatever.
My other thing was like, because most of the controls are at the bottom of the screen, I was like, what if I just put a piece of cardboard over the top of my monitor, like top part of my monitor, and I just don't have to see? He's like, well, you still have to click on them. I was like, oh.
Yeah, the icons, you'd have to click on those. Yeah.
Is it? Yeah. The only one I can think of is Act 1. I'm having trouble remembering other, like,
he said that
there's
an NPC that you interact with for a quest that's like a Spider-Man, and I said I don't want anything to do with that.
Which one is that?
He's the dude with the lantern. He's the centaur, essentially.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, he's the Shar.
Forgot about that dude.
Is he like Quelaag? Quelaag?
No,
from
kind of. Yeah, like his he's got like a whole upper torso, and then his butt, and he's got the leggies.
No, I still don't like that.
He's got like a couple extra eyes on one side of his face.
Oh, I super don't like that.
I mean, so he's pretty clearly a Spider-Man. Like, there's not like a, it's just a legged creature man hybrid thing. It's pretty clearly like, oh, you're just a spider dude.
Yeah. I mean, but if you play the playthrough where you you'll probably play a good playthrough, so you'll ambush him, just kill him right away, and then you never see him again. So like that could be easy. And then there's in Act 2, there's only a dead one you can come across, and like there's not that many spiders that you fight in that game. Same with like dragons. I thought there'd be more because there's so many like dragon arrows and arrows of monsters. I'm like, oh, there must be like a ton of dragons I'm gonna fight in this game because all these damn arrows I can buy. It's like
one
no,
and a
not
half.
really. Yeah.
Oh,
like
yeah. I
barely any
also
dragons.
told him that if we encounter any dragons we have to fight, he's just gonna have to do it on his own. He'll have to do
'Cause
the
you
whole party because I refuse.
Don't want to fight them, or
I don't
just...
want to fight them.
Okay.
I'm tired of
Yeah.
fighting dragons in game. I want the dragon to be my friend. So, but we'll see. He said, do we try the mod, and if it's broken, then he'll just deal with it, and then if it works, then it's whatever. I wish.
Yeah, it's easy.
So this is a another little note that I put down. Lethal Company added an arachnophobia mode to their game, which is so cool. Unfortunately, it still makes all the sounds, which is really distressing to hear in like a dark, creepy hallway. But the fact that it replaces the spider model with just a big red 3D text that says spider is probably the funniest fucking thing.
That's hilarious.
That's what Grounded should have done, and that's what I wish I could find for Baldur's Gate 3 is just big red text that says
good.
spider that's walking around. If I could find that, or if somebody could do that, that would be peak, because then that just makes it hilarious. So
But then you have people with scriptophobia, and you're like, oh, how do we make it for them? We got to change it from text to something else.
People are scared of the color red. You should be able to just change the text color. Like,
there you go. Yeah,
so
that's funny.
So I like that that's becoming a thing now, and I hope that when games do that in the future, they add like arachnophobia or like other phobia mods for like snakes and rats and stuff like that. It just replaces the model with 3D text that says what it is, because that's my favorite thing in the world.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So, but yeah, we will play at some point. I'm really hoping that it's maybe soon, because I'm kind of in a game lull at the moment. I might start a few little small games here and there, but as soon as Dawn Trail comes out, even if we're in the middle of Baldur's Gate 3, it's just not going to get finished. So we'll have to do it soon, because I won't be able to play as much as he plays. So it'll take us a while to get through it, but soon, probably.
That should be fun. So what else have you been playing, Zaya?
Not really much. I really was enjoying my like no thoughts pet sheep farm game era. So I was just playing Fae Farm pretty much anytime I had any free time, and I was playing it at work on my lunch break and stuff too. But I think I'm done with the little main story for it, like all the dungeons and stuff. So I'm kind of just in like, I guess, full Stardew mode, where I'm just going through and trying to get all the crops and make all the dishes and stuff like that. But it's at this point, it's just something in the background for me to kill like an hour or so if I don't want to start anything else. But I did buy during like the winter sales and everything, I bought I Am Setsuna finally, because I've been wanting to play that for a really, really long time.
That's a fun one.
I just hear that it's really depressing, and it's like I have to be in the right mindset for that, but I think I want to play it anyway because it just seems really fun. And I bought a game on Switch called Fae that I've had on my wish list forever, and I've never really seen anybody play or really heard much about, but it's just like a little 3D like puzzle platformer type of game. It looks very, very cute, and when I looked it up on, I think it's also on Steam, is that where I saw reviews? I looked at reviews and it was like really, really positive. So I was like, oh, well, weird that I've never really seen anybody kind of play this game. Maybe it's just like too old, but I got that, and so I'm excited to play that. I don't know if it's really, really short, I might start that and do that first, but I'm not sure which of those two I'll start next. But now that I'm kind of done with Fae Farm, I might just start doing 14 in my spare time, since 6.55 comes out on the 16th. So that's only like a week for me to get that's only another week of capping tomes and getting my gear up to speed, so that hopefully I'm not under geared for a dungeon or trial or whatever they have in the new patch.
Yeah, I got Core Keeper because I was on sale. We played a little bit on that one Friday. The three of us, you, me, Michael. We played that. Yeah, it was fun. It was a nice little relaxing game, just going around. It was funny hearing like Michael Bay, like, oh, did he go here? Did he see this? Did he see that?
In the background,
oh,
yeah, he was like, I'm not
yeah.
going to be on chat because I don't want to say things, but then he's
Yeah.
like saying it in the background anyway.
Yeah, I can hear like, did he go? I don't know. Like, and then there's like, oh, there's a boss there, and then, but yeah, that I could definitely see it being like if I was trying to. There's a couple matches I'd be like, oh man, I should ping them and see like, hey, you just want to mess around in Core Keeper, but I think I've like either was doing something else or like something came up for like I didn't end up pinging in Discord. That seems a fun game that I definitely want to get back to. But I did finish Jedi Survivor. Beat that over the break. It was good. I had some issues with it. I don't like that they make you start over with like all your skills, like that thing, like, oh, everything you unlocked isn't there, which is, I don't know what the solution is in games to get away from that. But it's like, yeah, I'm like, I just give me my stuff back. You don't even, they also make you like re-get your stances. You get them back really quick. Luckily it doesn't take as long as it did in like the first game, but it was just still kind of weird. And then also like, I'm like, man, I was playing like a harder difficulty through most of the game. And I do like the way they do it in that game. It's just, it doesn't make enemies spongy. It's just like they do more damage. They're more aggressive. And also your parry window timing goes down. So it's never like, oh, hey, it's not like they become more spongy. But the problem I had there was like, okay, well, I'm a Jedi. Like I should be, there's a lot of these enemies that should be going down pretty quick, not take as long. So like late in the game when I was done, I was like, okay, I just want to get through the end of this game. I'm like, I just dropped it down to like, give me a story mode. I'm like, I just want to beat this game at this point. I don't want to go through, which sucked because they're like, I don't think you can change it. You can't change it mid game. Like most games, you have to like reload. And there was a point where like I changed. I'm like, okay, I just want to get through the story here real quick. And then like a big fight happened. I was like, oh man, I kind of would have liked to do this fight, harder. It's like what you have to do in the fight isn't that challenging. Like the dance you do, that soulsy dance. But I'm like, oh, this would have been fun to kind of play at a harder difficulty. But yeah, it was okay. It wasn't that bad. I liked it, but yeah, I didn't like it as much as the first game. Plus, you also like my issue with this game was like you didn't travel around as much like you did in the first one. Like there's only you only have like 2 planets, like a moon, and like that's pretty much it. Like so it's a lot of back and forth. It's like you go here, you find out about something, okay, you go to the place. And because of that, the problem I have is like in the world map, you come across so many Metroidvania things. It's like, I clearly can't go here. Like even on the map, it's red. Like you don't have the ability to go this direction. So I'm like, it's just so much of that. And I hate seeing a ton of that in a game. Like, oh, clearly I can't, because I'm so used to other open world games, like a Ubisoft game or whatever, where it's like, I can go anywhere from the jump. It's like, will enemies be like really hard or will there be something kind of challenging if I go too far? Sure. But it's like, if you're good, you can get past it or what have you. But it's like, this is like, I can't even fully explore the map because they cut off so much of it, or I can't explore like a section, but it's just nothing happens and it's empty because the story hasn't taken me there yet. So I didn't like that just bouncing back and forth between the same locations was got kind of tedious and like, man, I was like, and the game looks good too, and like which is not an issue. It's like it looks nice, cool vistas, but it's just like I just hated that back and forth nonsense of like just a couple planets. Like, could you just stick to, if you're gonna do that, just stick to like one planet, I guess, or like just one giant planet. But so that was kind of annoying. And then so yeah, after I beat that, I hopped over and I started playing Immortals of Aveum. That's also a really good looking game. It's an Unreal Engine 5 game. And I'm liking that so far. It's definitely nice to go into a first person game that has a great feeling double jump and just playing something like totally new that I don't expect. Yeah, because I was curious, like in that game, like, oh, it's, you got 3 different types of magic, red, blue, green. It's like, oh, well, the red's going to be kind of like the shotgun blast. The blue is like your assault rifle, and the green is like your machine gun, your LMG. And I'm like, that's kind of how they translate, because they had some COD devs that worked on this game. And I was worried, like, okay, well, how are they going to kind of diversify these 3 sets? And they do it to where like there's a gauntlet that you wear that helps you like channel your magic ability, and you can change for like the blue magic. You can have one where like, okay, it's an assault rifle, or you can turn it in kind of a sniper rifle, so you have less ammo it might take a little longer to shoot between each shot, and you have low capacity essentially, but you do high damage. And same for the shotgun, like, okay, you can do big damage, but it's very slow reloads, or you only have like one clip. So now it's kind of like a rocket launcher essentially. And then same for the LMG. It's like, okay, this could be 40 damage around with a big magazine, or higher damage with a lower magazine. Maybe they're homing. So it's like they do add some kind of diversity there to where it's like, okay, it's not just this. I can kind of customize how I want to play with each of them. I like the story. It's very Final Fantasy to me, because it's like your character. So like in the world, there's magic. It reminds me of 16, where almost everyone can use magic in some fashion, but not everyone is a master of it. They might just be able to do, it's like Looper. They only have a little bit of telekinesis. Like they can just do a little bit of magic, like throw it out. So they're called the lightless, because they don't have capacity to wield it. And even a smaller portion of people don't have any magic talents at all. So like the people who have like full control of one of the colors of magic are like these Magni, who are like, they're in the army, and there's like, the world is in they're in what they call an ever war, to where there's like all the nations are always fighting for control over the magic. It's not necessarily a resource, it's a weapon essentially. Like they want the power. So it's like this ever war that's been going on for like ever, and like no one's winning. But then like at this point in the game, there's essentially 3 of the other nations got like kind of like wiped out, or their resources depleted, and like it's the big bad nation against like you, like the nation that you're a part of, and they're trying to control it, but no one has a full understanding. There's like this giant statue in the center of the region. It's called the Pentathlon. It's like a statue of this ancient being who's just like overlooking the world, but they don't understand it. But there's also a shrouded realm, kind of like the upside down. So it's like the shrouded realm is where the magic comes from, and the pentathlon is alive there. And so you see at one point in the clip, like you see a vision of it as Jack, the main character, and the pentathlon like walks over to you from the distance. It's really cool to see this like giant colossus just come up, look at you, and like some weird stuff happens in this sequence. And then and what's happening is like the magic comes from that realm, the shrouded realm, into Avium, but it currently doesn't have a way to go back. So what's happening is like the more magic you use, you're pulling that magic from the shrouded realm. So it's like the life force of the planet coming out from this other realm onto the surface being used, but it can't go back. So there's no like path for it to do so. So it just forces its way back. So what happens is there's this spot on the planet called the Wound. And it's where like when enough magic gathers together that's just floating there, because there's too much, it forces itself through the earth to get to the other realm. So it just makes this massive crater and just destroys it. And like you live as Jack when he's a kid, he lives in this city that's built over the Wound. It's like this super poor group of people who can't, afford anything. So they just built the city over the Wound, which is very dangerous. But so I really like where the story's going. And like, so the idea is like, you're trying to fight this war to stop this guy, but the more magic you use, the more you're causing the problem. So, and like even the character knows, he's like, so wait. So the more magic we use in this war that we're trying to win is just causing more damage because the magic can't get back to the Shrouded Realm. And like, yeah, you see what predicament we're in. Like we're trying to end the war so we could stop this. And then like the big bad in the other city, like there's these like, what they call them, these fonts, like 5 fonts, or like the 5 points where like all the magic kind of comes up, but obviously can't get back. So it comes up these 5 points, like that's where the main source, and you could see like all the magic ley lines throughout the land. Like they're just this, you see them as you play too, like there's these crazy looking fluid magic rivers in the air. It's like, this looks insane. Like obviously on console, if you played on console, it'd probably look a little, that's why your resolution is so low, because just such crazy fluid effects going on. But it's like you see it. It's kind of like when the live stream saves the planet in FF7, the original, like it's all the streams of light, like it kind of looks like that. So you just see the magic in the world. And so anyways, this bad guy like found a way to like absorb the magic from these fonts, and like he destroys one, and you're trying to like, early on you're like, okay, he's doing it with this binding stone, we got to stop this guy. It's like, and he says, oh, I'm doing it to end the war. It's like, well, you clearly destroyed this other nation, this and that. So I like this story so far, and the characters, and yeah, it's a really good looking game too, and it's fun to play. I like just again using all the magic. People point out it's kind of funny that you have to reload the magic. Well, it kind of makes sense. Like if you're spending that magic and you have to kind of absorb more from the world around you in order to use it again. It's like that kind of makes sense from that perspective. So that's fun. And then they do some fun things in combat where it's like a lot of interesting stuff. They have a leash or I've done the leash, but like this ropey, like magic rope you swing at and you can pull enemies towards you. It's very Bulletstorm in that sense. So I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Like not many games do this like Bulletstorm did. So it's cool to have like that aspect. You can like slow enemies with another one. You can cancel spells with another accessory. So it's one of the few games where you can heal and still attack at the same time, which is interesting. Also, you can sprint in reverse and side to side, which typically you can't do in video games, especially in first person. It's like obviously if I sprint forward and I hold back, my character stops sprinting. But if I hold back and then sprint, I can sprint in reverse. I'm like, you can't do that in video games typically. Same with strafing. I'm like, it's so nice to be able to actually run in any direction I want, and he just runs. So that's fun. I'm looking forward to getting some more traversal abilities. That's where I kind of stop right now. I'm not too far. I'm only like 6 hours in. But yeah, I like what it is kind of a shame knowing that I'm enjoying this interesting world, but the studio's essentially done. Like they had to close down because they didn't sell well, because they were released before, in between Baldur's Gate and Starfield. So it's like that kind of sucks. But yeah, I am having fun. Like I said, it's a very Final Fantasy. It feels like with the world. But yeah, that's a good game. The one of the issues I had was like the opening bits. Like Jack, the main character, starts off. He's a lightless. And so he only has a little bit of magic and stuff like that. And there's this bit where, and I think the direction they should have gone was different, where it's like, it's him and his couple friends, like once you get to a certain age, you get conscripted into the army. And the lightless are usually at like the frontline grunts. So his friend she's about to be, it's her birthday. So she's going to get conscripted, but she's all about it because she kind of wants to fight and help end the war. And Jack's always like, well, it's the ever war. It's never going to end. But then as you're like going to this opening when he's a kid, the enemy nation like comes and attacks the city that you're in. And so you and your friend, yeah, classic stuff. So you and your friend, you're running together, trying to get back to the house that you live in with these two other kids. And on your way there, all of a sudden one of the big bads, like people come down, like is fighting someone else. And like, of course, all the guards that are in this shabby town, like don't have great use of magic. So they like get defeated easily by this one person who's down there just killing them. And then you're there at the house about to get there. And then it gets blown up by the ship. And you're like, no, this and that. And then the friend, I'm totally blanking on her name because she's only in the opening. I'm assuming she'll show up later. I have like, it feels like she is this other character that you come across because it's like 5 years later in the game. So I'm like, when you end up playing like the main bit, and I'm like, it feels so much like this character whose face you don't see. I'm like, it seems like it would be them. Like this is the twist. Like, oh, it's them. But we'll see if that comes true. But anyways, so you see like this person from the enemy nation like walk off who just killed a bunch of people. And the friend goes, Jack, you need to leave. You got to run. And then she charges this person shooting, magic at them, what little magic she has. And then the person just totally blasts them back. They fall into the wound, because they're in the city above the wound, and they just die. And then Jack is like, no, and his anger. And then all of a sudden he gets hit with a bunch of magic, and he becomes what they call a triarch. And every other year you make a Call of Duty. So they like all triarchs are like rare people who can control all three forms of magic. Typically Magni only control one. So he's like and he's also, I forget what they call it, but like people who get increased magic abilities later in life, they have a name for them, like a dormant or something like that, but they call them something. But anyways, and there's like this huge hesitation against people who are triarchs because they either like they're super rare. But anyway, so he goes mad, he like hulks out, and like all of a sudden you get like a surge of magic you can't control, and you're just killing everyone, like all these bad guys. And then you get recruited by the leader of the army, or whatever. But I was like, man, this scene would have played out so much better if the bad guy was trying to kill you. And that's why your friend said, Jack, you gotta run. Like they were walking away. So it's like, it felt so weird. I'm like, you couldn't just hit. You both would have lived. Like they were just leaving.
Like they just panicked for no reason. They were like, oh my God, we gotta get out of here. It's like, we didn't even know you were there, but now we do.
Like had Jack been like, hey asshole, like got real mad because their two friends died, and then the person like was coming towards them, then it's like, Jack, run, I gotta fight. And it's like, no, you can't. And then they get knocked into the wound. Okay, that makes more sense. But they were just leaving, like just don't say anything. So that was the one thing I thought was so weird. It's like that I would have changed that scene a bit. But yeah, I do like it too. Like there's this group, they're seers essentially, and they can control two forms of magic, and each one of their eyes are like one's green, one's blue, and so they can see the past and the future. But they wear like an eye, a covering over their eyes. But they're kind of like Dr. Manhattan in that they kind of exist at all points of time in their life, anyways. So whenever you talk to them, they're always like they'll mention stuff that hasn't happened, like, oh, you're here to learn about this thing. You're like, no, I'm just here to go over here. Like, oh, sorry, that hasn't happened yet. And then so it's like,
damn, this is a Wendy's.
Yeah. So talking to them is always like they're talking about the past
like
or the future.
Anime game.
Yeah, it does have
most anime.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's definitely like a Final Fantasy anime kind of feel to it. But it's just so funny talking to them, and even the other characters are like, yeah, they're kind of a trip to talk to, aren't they? Like, yeah, it's a little strange. But yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. Like I said, I'm playing on PC. It's a great looking game, and I look forward to playing more of it. But yeah, that's what I've been playing. I'm trying to see if I had any more notes on the game. It's fun. Like I love, so they have like all these treasure chests around the world, but you don't just open them. You can just, because they're made of wood, they're just wooden boxes and crates, but they're clearly labeled like, hey, this has stuff in it. So you just blast it with your magic and just run over the resource to pick it up. So it's always just fun to like, I'm just in a city and there's a barrel, I'm like, bam, blow it up and grab the shit. I'm like, I'm just blowing up shit in this town. They don't care. But and then also there's these, I like games that have, it has fun like environmental puzzles. They're all pretty straightforward, not like super difficult, but I love a good like solving, like, okay, there's this gem, like a green gem, and I hit it with green magic and it activates something, and maybe I have to activate like each color of magic, so I have to find all the gemstones or manipulate the world and move objects in certain ways, because you can like move certain objects with magic. That's fun. And then there's also these like floating like magic orbs that are a particular color, and you have to destroy them with that color of magic. But you can hear them, so it's like, and when you break them, they give you like what they call ascension points, like every or ascension currency. So every time you get ascension points, that lets you skill up, yada yada. So it's just skill points. So you want to destroy them when you hear them. So I always love games like that where like they have something where it's like, oh, I can hear the thing I need to find, or like a Fortnite when you play it back in the day, like, oh, I hear the glow of the chest. I got to find that chest. I can hear it somewhere. So it's like I'm running around the world and I hear like the floating magic orb thing. I'm like, oh shit, where is it? Where is it? And I'm looking for it, and it's like, okay, it's this color. Okay, watch the pattern, make sure I lead it. Like I had one where my blue magic was the sniper rifle gauntlet, and I like heard a blue thing, and I was like, I can't hit this fucking thing with these rounds because it takes so long to shoot. So I'm like, okay, luckily I kept like the regular, gauntlet for the assault rifle version, and then I was able to finally hit it. But it's fun, like just running through, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, stop, look around, where's this thing? I can hear it, but yeah, that's fun to do. But yeah, looking forward to playing more of it. I think it's pretty short, so I'm not sure if I'll beat it before. Because the problem is it's tough to play controller games when I got the kid sitting on my lap, because he's always like, if he's not fully engrossed in what he's watching, he'll just keep hitting my arm to change the video or something like that. So
just smacks your arm to change it.
Well, he'll like reach over and he'll like touch my arm, like indicating that, hey, I don't want to watch this video anymore. I want to watch the next one.
I'm
And he
bored.
knows,
Remote.
like-
change.
Uh-huh.
And he knows like which mouse I have to touch to do it because I two mice because he's watching the laptop. So, but yeah, if he's sitting on my lap and I don't keep my arm around him like I do normally if I'm just sitting playing like Oni, because I just use the mouse. So I don't like keep my arm and still using control because I don't want him to touch the controller. Also, I'm moving a little bit, so I kind of like sit a little weird over to the side, so it's like a different position for him to, even though he's just like sitting on my leg. It's just kind of awkward to sit in, but anyways, yep, that's all I've been playing. Looking forward to playing more of it. All right, well, I didn't have any other notes written down here, so I can go ahead and call it there. And then yeah, hopefully we'll get some. It's gonna be a big year for games. I know a lot of stuff people are speculating if it'll release in 2024. So we'll see if those rumors come true and whatnot. We'll see what kind of new stuff.
A lot of big stuff supposed to come out next year, or I guess this year.
This year, yeah. We'll see what happens. Could be a lot of games. I'm trying to think of like what big is supposed to come out in Q1 because Q1's usually like a pretty good spot to release stuff. But I haven't. I tried to look for a 2024 list earlier, but
all I remember is Dragon's Dogma, but I don't think that's Q1. I think that's some other time.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'll look it up in the next podcast. We can talk about it or something. But all right, well, we'll go ahead and wrap it up there. So thank you for all tuning in. Listen. Thank you, Izzy. Thank you, Zai, for joining.
Yep.
And we'll see you all next time.
Later.
Bye.